So let's just start with the very first pose. It kind of sets the stage. How we could just maybe amp this up a little bit. So the first thing I'm wondering is there a way to just maybe push? This is a really nice pose so far, but maybe we could push the line of action a little bit. So rather than it being this angle, we could take it and maybe push the whole thing over a little bit. Just see how far you can go before it feels like too much. I'm just playing with the idea that, he's looking at the kids or something. I kind of want a little bit of that sleepy, half-lidded vibe, with maybe pushing some of that. So we just start getting them a little bit more focused, looking somewhere, connecting with something, maybe pushing the expression a little bit more, getting a little bit of asymmetry, pushing the kind of, squash on one side versus the more stretch on the other. Maybe that one side of the face is a bit more squinty where I'm squashing. Let's just tweak the arm position a little bit here. Now to sort of pose it in a way where it's a bit more hidden. Just trying to get a little bit more feeling of leaning into that arm. So not a big difference, but I think it makes a big difference. I don't know what you think, Ben, but it just starts to, he feels more focused. He feels like there's more weight in that side of, and then what's great is now we can start playing around with it. Okay, let's go to the next frame and see, what happens if we push this kind of even more? Can we get even more lean into them? And does that make them feel even more just sort of loose? And then you start, this is how I always work, of just iterating on the poses. Holding it in a slightly more. Just kind of getting rid of all this like ugly negative space under the arm, just sort of bringing this in. This is jumbo. Just grab them and push them back into the chair a little bit more. Again, not a big deal now, but when you have shadows and lighting and keep doing that and all that stuff, you might notice that things aren't really connecting. I'm just using these kind of top of the head, bottom of the face movers to just kind of push these shapes just a little bit, keeping it pretty subtle. All right, so feeling pretty good about where it is right now. It's just a few things here, a few things there, but by the time it's all said and done, and having that comparison to be able to go back, when you jump from here to here, it's not too big of a difference. It's just really sort of shifting the arm and the body a little bit. But then it just starts to become like this iterative building up And when you go from like beginning to end, you really notice the difference. I mean, one of the first things that somebody said to me when I started working at Blue Sky was that he worked this way. He's like, I don't know what's too far unless I can compare it to where I was before. So I find now that especially when I'm blocking and I try this, and if I've already splined, then rather than do it on separate frames, I'll do it on a layer. But when I can iterate and compare, it's made all the difference in seeing a progression towards something. You start kind of picking up on those elements of the pose that are kind of what the essence of that pose is all about. And you start really kind of honing in on what the pose is all about.